Alright, for the third and final time, we have it here, fellas. The Soyldier 11 Damage Showcase. The reason why I was stalling for this was because I wanted to hit max Soyldier level and core skill, but I am also one level off of crowning basic attack, so you're just going to need to keep that in mind for now. But here it is. This is going to be the highlight of, I guess, builds for my team, as well as rotations, and then damage showcase. And I'll kind of discuss a little bit more at the end, overall thoughts on Soyldier 11 as a character and how she fits into the game. But yeah, let's get started on to actually reviewing what characters I'm working with right now. So, when it comes to Soyldier 11, nothing has really changed too much about the ratios. You get a little bit of crit rate from the last time since I got the core skill upgrade, but overall stats just increased as level went up, and then damage increase was there because of the core skill upgrades, of course. Some talent upgrades on basic attack. If you see here, I'm one level off of maxing it, and I don't have enough crowns to actually max out every single skill, so we'll have to wait until the next event. Or if I succumb and buy the battle pass, we'll see whichever comes first. But just know that the auto attack is going to be the first thing I upgrade probably after this video. Ideally, I make a follow-up video in the future, probably by the time Bernice is out, to actually have a fully maxed out team and show you the damage potential of max Soyldier 11, as well as max Soyldier 11 teammates. I don't have enough resources to max out my Gilded Blossom yet, so that'll also be increased in the future. But just note that the damage increase there is going to be somewhat noticeable, maybe a few hundred more damage on each swing, but that's about it. My RDs need a lot better rolling later on, so I hope a Drive 6 will come my way and eventually I'll be able to replace this kind of garbage defense-loaded piece right now. Originally, this video was going to be about a Soyldier 11 that I had finished at level 55 and did not max out core talent, but I didn't realize how close I was to actually getting enough resources to get level 60. So when that came around, I just decided, screw it, I'm going to finish this up and re-record my entire script. So here we are right now. Next up on the list, we have Koleda, our signature stun unit. Right now, our only fire stun unit in the game. Very powerful unit, and will be spinning around like Herta very, very frequently. Simply because she does a lot of impact build, which is really nice. But it's also weird how she has one less impact than Andy. I don't know how this happened. My Damara engine is actually lower level than my fossilized core right here, but that's besides the point. And because I use Koleda dodge counter so much, I've been considering making this more an attack / chip damage focused build with less reliance on crit and more so just bonus, explosive fire damage at the end for free. But we will see if there is a dodge counter set that does come out in the future. But for right now, my Koleda is focused on the standard impact build, building at that stun really quickly, which is what she's able to do very easily, and is probably her signature style. No damage multipliers present on this character since she is focused on just rapid buildup, so we don't need to worry about it influencing the gameplay too much. But who does actually influence gameplay quite a bit has to be this Lucy. I did not realize how much extra damage she's able to provide with Chiron, as well as her signature weapon. In the gameplay you're about to see, it's roughly 1000 bonus damage that you get every single time that you activate Chiron, whether it's your chain attack or EX special. It really doesn't matter. It is a huge damage increase that is so helpful to the overall damage of the team, as well as the execution of very high HP enemies. With the rundown out of the way, I did want to get into some chain attack basics, but these are very basics since most characters follow this no matter what. But there is going to be a slight variation I make between these two combo trees. One is focused on a Lucy with M2 and one Lucy without M2. This is because Lucy M2 allows Chiron to be activated during a chain attack hit, but without it, she actually has to manually input EX special. It's pretty rough, and I honestly thought this was part of her core kit originally, but then I didn't notice the icon on the top until recently, and I was like, oh shoot, this is kind of over. So here are the trees. The big difference here being Lucy starting off the combo tree for the mediums and heavies to get bonus damage on your Soyldier 11 and or Koleda hit. Obviously you want to end for boss enemies on your Bang Boo with Soyldier 11 out because you can probably pop an ult or an EX special right off the gate. Ideally this procs burn as well, so your Infernal Metal can be up and you will have a very high crit rate plus the damage boost of Chiron. And one little tip too, especially if you're using Koleda, I didn't realize until recently, some guy commented on my video and told me that the strat is to do dash attack into basic where her hammer hits the floor. The instant that the hammer hits the ground, you press EX special to do a hammer explosion. This is a very efficient method of building stun, and it is also very efficient for her gameplay, as it's able to very easily slip in the EX special without needing to do the startup animation, which can sometimes feel a little bit clunky if you just have to force it, but if the lower tier enemies just want to be stunned instantly, then you can go for just a raw special. But just note that generally for Koleda, the instant that her hammer's on the ground for more than a second, she's able to press EX special and proc the effect instantly. I probably could have read about this in her stats, but I didn't because I'm lazy. And obviously for Lucy, you want to just focus on building attack. I'm actually running the 4-piece attack set instead of the 4-piece energy, just because I need that Chiron bonus to be as high as possible. Plus, the energy requirement is pretty much covered with her signature weapon, which is going to be a little hard to get until the later banners in 1.2 most likely. With that out of the way, let's actually get into the real gameplay here. Last time I messed up a lot in making this, so here's what I'm going to do here. We're going to keep these settings right here with a Frenzied Maniac, no movement, no stun build, and no damage taken. This is just to help me build Anomaly later on when I need to get my Infernal Metal proc as well as the damage from Chiron up. Of course, this first part is going to be without Chiron or Infernal Metal activated, going through auto, skill, and then ult. And then after that, we're going to focus on using the auto, skill, and ult, of course, with Infernal Metal procced as well as Chiron activated. We don't really need to care too much about Infernal Metal procced alone, since it's just more consistent damage overall, and because there is no bonus damage to stun targets like Zhu Yuan has, we don't need to worry too much about stun enemies. We could just think that the damage that we do is multiplied by 1.5x. We've chosen Frenzied Maniac because most of the robotic enemies resist fire, and you can't actually see the infusion damage at all. And ideally, you don't use Soyldier 11 into enemies that have resistances towards fire, but that might just be me. I do want to keep an image in the top right to kind of record our minimum and maximum damage. It's going to be pretty rough calculating overall damage, but you can get the idea. I'm going to run through these at normal speed as well as slow motion right after the fact, and if there's anything else I need to say about it, I could just drop it in there, but if not, I'll just highlight exactly what's happening right now. So yeah, let's get into the unbuffed items. As you can see here in the graphic, we have peaks of our auto attack hitting 9.7 thousand damage, a bit more inconsistent due to my crit rate being so low, but the 8,000 damage seems to be a little bit more consistent near the end on the 4th hit of the combo. But one thing you should keep in mind is that by the time you're autoing on Soyldier 11, the enemy is either stunned or is in burn, so you can have a higher crit rate due to Infernal Metal procced. Because of the Gilded Blossom that I'm running, I'm actually able to hit peaks of 22.2 thousand damage near the end of my skill, as opposed to the 21.2 thousand damage that my ult is able to do. All this just comes from the Gilded Blossom's bonus damage that it provides with its passive. This is overall kind of insane just for a Soyldier 11 to be running around and doing this damage without the enemy being stunned at all. And specifically with Zhu Yuan, since her damage is so heavily loaded onto the stunned enemy, with her core passive just giving her double damage pretty much on only stunned enemies, Soyldier 11 has the upper hand in this case where you can clear out easier enemies without needing to worry too much about them being stunned. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the greatest cleave on her attacks, so she's not able to hit multiple groups of enemies at once with ease, but that's fine as long as you can melt them one at a time, or maybe hit a few in your skill. That should be enough to actually finish them off. And now it is time for the big numbers. We're going to work with Metal proc as well as Chiron being active. The exact same order as last time, and the exact same graphic will appear in the top right, just to give a little bit of a side-by-side to how much more damage is actually provided with Chiron as well as the Infernal Metal proc. As you will notice in the gameplay here, the damage spike is insane, as well as obviously the consistency due to the Infernal Metal being up and that bonus 28% crit rate being active. 12.4 thousand damage peak on hit 3 I'm pretty sure, as well as 10k damage instances on the 4th hit is ridiculous for her auto. As well as her skill, hitting 27.5k damage peaks at the end of this skill animation. It is crazy to consider that this is also on an enemy that is not stunned. So if you take all these numbers and just multiply them by 1.5, you will have your more exact damage numbers when you're beating up an enemy or a boss. And of course, because Gilded Blossom is buffing our skill so much, our ult is only doing 24.7 thousand damage instances near the end of the animation, but that is only the end of the animation considered, and not considering the entire startup, which is still massive in damage. I end up with a 1001 attack bonus from Chiron. It's kind of crazy to think about, but man, this is such a strong character to have all the way at the start. And honestly, even if they do come out with their Hu Tao equivalent in the future, it doesn't matter. I'm sticking with Soyldier 11 all the way through. That just means that the content is going to be way easier for me. But overall, this character is really solid and will be our best and only fire DPS for a really long time. Bernice is not going to be a main DPS, but will rather be a really good supporting sub DPS unit for Soyldier 11, if her damage bonus is as good as Lucy's, but we'll see how that goes in the future. The big problem with Soyldier 11 now is that getting all of her teammates is really difficult. To get this team, it requires you to have 2 standard banner 5-stars, which are really hard to get, as well as 3 copies of Lucy, which is really hard to do already, since you can't get it for free. We know that she will appear in the 1.2 banners as the 4-star, but it's going to be a long time until then. Most likely appearing in Phase 2, I'm guessing, with Bernice as the main unit, but we gotta wait so long for that to happen. And as for substitutes, there really aren't any good ones, since there are still only 4 fire units in the game, and I do not recommend burning your 5-star selector from the 300 standard pulls on Koleda or Soyldier 11 if you don't have them already, because ideally you'll get them in the future if you do lose, and you can easily build a team around them when more units are out. But yeah, overall, Soyldier 11 is just so good right now. If I see fire weakness on the stage selector, I am going to just explode and immediately send this team in, and they will do so much damage. But yeah, there's not much else I can add to this besides build your Soldier 11 if you have her, or if you need a second DPS. Screw building Anton, even though he's pretty decent against robotic enemies. I don't care, Soldier 11's cool. But if you don't want to build her, you don't have to build her, honestly. She will get crept in the future, but if you start building now, you can invest in really good artifacts now, and you can easily transfer them over to the next character that comes out. Which is a really odd mindset to have, but it's how I be thinking about these things, alright? But yeah, if you stuck around for this long, I appreciate it. If there are any other guides or any specific content types that you want to see me do let me know. I will be having a video out for sure when Jane Doe releases. I'm doing my polls, trying to get C1 or I think C0 and weapon. But besides that, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Soldier 11 damage showcase with the strongest Soldier 11 in the world. Probably. That is free to play though. And yeah, that should be about it. Like, subscribe, comment down what you want to see, and yeah, that should be about it. I'll see you guys later.